I have done many challenges on Jedi Survivor, but there is one challenge that I have been avoiding doing, and that challenge is the no-hit challenge on Grandmaster, and I finally decided to give it a go. However, before we dive straight in, I first will need to explain how this works. There are two types of no-hit runs. The first no-hit run is basically you do the entire game, but if you take a hit, you restart from the beginning. Yeah, no, I don't have the time for that, so instead I'm going to do the second type, where essentially every time you take a hit, you restart from your latest save. And the hit is essentially anything that does damage, so with that established, let's dive straight into it. At the very beginning, you have to face off against a wave of riot troopers, but I believed I would take my first hit, and somehow I didn't. In fact, my first hit comes right afterwards, but this hit is intentional, and so therefore I'm going to count it anyway, but I'll explain that later. Now at the beginning I took a few hits for the simple fact of the matter reason I'm not used to Grandmaster. I always play on Jedi Knight, and so because of that I kept getting timings wrong and just making a few little errors here and there, as well as the fact that blaster bolts just kept creeping up on me. But not only that, I also forgot about the stun mechanic. But the stun mechanic doesn't really matter as long as I don't take damage. Regardless, I managed to make it to the first mini boss, K405, where if it wasn't for Bode, that would have taken a lot more hits than the few it actually did. Although after K405, you get a small section before the Ninth Sister boss fight without Bode, and surprisingly, I managed to do that part without taking any more hits. Anyway, now we reach the first boss of the game, the Ninth Sister, where I only took 30 hits. But that's probably because the Ninth Sister is the only boss that I actually practiced before going into this. But 30 is still quite a lot, and that number could probably be a lot lower, but when you realise what's coming next, you'll realise how low 30 really is. Anyway, for those of you interested in watching the fight, here it is, and I'll shut up in a second, but for those of you not, there should be a timestamp on the screen where you can skip past it, and now I'll shut up and let you enjoy the fight.
Let's play a game! Is that all? Predictable. I see your next move. Time to die, Cracker Rat! Get back here! Next time!
Okay.
Can't wait to see this!
Now what?
What else you got?
Yep.
Are you
Doing this
sure
again.
about that? Ready? I'll crush you once and for all!
Alright. I need to wait for the thing to come up. Yes! 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 Right, now that the Ninth Sister has lost her head, there is just a matter of getting off Coruscant, where I proceeded to struggle with a Purge Trooper as well as a Blaster Bolt, but eventually got to the final push, which was going well, until it didn't. But the next time went perfectly, and I eventually got off Coruscant with a total of 25 hits, plus 30 from the ninth sister, making it 55 hits. And now we're on Kobo, which is where things started to go wrong. Where first of all, the game crashed, and then, to be fair, at the beginning of Kobo I only took a few hits here and there, and then got to Zeke and struggled a little bit, but managed to kill him and got my first ability, Resilience, which is going to actually be super useful because Resilience gives me more block, which is pretty much essential. Now we move on to the first regular enemy that I actually struggled with a lot, the Biomore. Okay, see, I took a lot of attempts with the Biomore, but I just wasn't able to kill it, and I kept trying, and eventually at time I realized something that I hadn't really realized before, that I technically don't have to kill every enemy I face, especially ones that are, well, optional. And so I decided I'm not going to kill this Biomore now, and in fact I will come back for it later when I'm a bit more powerful. So anyway, I carried on towards the Kobo array, took a few hits, but also got distracted by the meditation chamber as I wanted the perk since it'd be useful. Then I eventually got to the Kobo array, where, well, you know how I'm always going back to the main menu and never dying, and so I'm also never really losing my experience to gain the skill points. Well, that all changed when I met the Mogu. You see, the Mogu I tried a few times and I managed to get back to the menu, but one time he managed to actually kill me, and I was super bummed because one thing I didn't really want to happen is have that little experience floating thing which gives you your force back and your health back. It doesn't really matter on the health side, but on the force side that could be slightly useful, and technically in no hit run you shouldn't really be able to access that feature. But it gets worse, because you see, on the very next attempt going back to fight the Mogu again, I get killed by the chicken, and that right there is the entire experience gone. And so now I'm stuck at 3 skill points, and here's the thing, I was saving up because I actually needed 4, which was kind of stupid because I'd waste 1 on a health increase, which I really don't need, another 1 on a health increase, which again I don't need, but getting those 2 skill points unlocked will actually allow me to unlock another skill point, which basically increases the rate the block meter goes up, which is going to be super useful since pretty much everything relies on the block meter in this run. But whatever, eventually after many more failures I actually managed to kill the Mogu, and then took a few more hits, but then finally got to the first Dagan boss fight area. But also on the way I got enough experience to get that extra skill point I was on about. But finally it's time to face Dagan Gera. Here's the thing, there is no save after the Tanalorr section, so every single time I took a hit with Dagan Gera I had to go back and do the Tanalorr section every single time, and I realised this. And not gonna lie, this was gonna take ages, and I knew that I'd be here for a little bit. So on the 7th try, I let Dagan kill me because then I can go straight into the Dagan boss fight every single time I restart from the main menu. And thank God that I did that, because this ended up taking me 267 attempts. Okay, so that number is really high, especially since the 9th sister only took me 30 attempts. And not gonna lie, this was where I almost gave up on the run completely, because 5 hours into attempting this fight I sat there and went, nope, no, this is stupid, I'm never gonna be able to do this, I give up, I quit, I'm not doing this. And about 30 minutes later I sat there and said to myself, oh, just give it another go. And so I logged back onto Jedi Survivor and I did so, and well, I died immediately. But then a few more attempts after that, not many, did this happen.
Paltry. Coward. Meager. Behold, you're wasting energy. That's nothing. Wretched order ruled the day they betrayed me and forsook Tanalorr. I am superior.
is low. Might go low back.
Frightened? Trivial. You waste my time. Such a chore. Witness true power. That's nothing. Is that it? Stand and fight. More.
So yeah, I beat him, and I guess this is a little bit of a lesson to basically never give up. Just sometimes you need to take a step back and a little bit of a break, and then you'll find that what you need to do, you'll get done. So anyway, I give up. Well, not really. You see, here's the thing. After doing all that, it's time to go to Jeddah, which is what happened. I went to Jeddah, and I somehow didn't take any damage on the way back to the Mantis to get to Jeddah. And then at Jeddah, I took a damage to this little crab thing because I didn't really know what to do, and I just ended up letting it hit me because I'm an idiot. But I'm even more of an idiot because the recording basically stops right after I get this meditation point, and this sucks because I got to the next meditation point. I met Merrin, and in that fight where you have Merrin with you in that little arena section is where I ended up taking a lot of hits, which are recorded right here. But I don't have the actual gameplay recording because OBS stopped recording. Well, it actually didn't. You see, at one point during the last hit I ever took here, Jedi Survivor crashed. Sort of. It didn't really crash, but it kind of crashed. I then kind of realised that OBS is fritzed out. It's just completely gone mental. And I realised at that point, okay, I should probably stop for the day because I was actually really defeated now because there's a huge portion of these hits I don't have the footage for it because OBS decided to just be an arse. I really didn't want to give up on the Jedi Grandmaster No Hit run, but I think it's clearly obvious, especially with the Dagan 1 fight, that I need a bit more practice before I continue. And even though I am missing a certain part of the footage for this fight, it's not too big of a deal, and I probably could continue on from where I am just without that footage. Except no, I can't, because do you remember the very first hit I took right at the beginning at that little ledge? That part I counted as a hit. The game forces you to take a hit there. However, turns out that hit there can be avoided if you go really slow and are really lucky, which makes the entire run invalid.